Okay, welcome to Lakshya Academy YouTube channel. Okay, this is the part 10 of digestion and absorption. Okay, up to part 9 we have learned anatomy part. Okay, what are the various parts of the alimentary canal, and then we learned digestive glands. Okay, here comes the physiology part. Okay, students feel a little bit difficult in this part. You have to pay attention. Up to now we learned different digestive juices, what are the different enzymes, what are the different parts in the alimentary canal, how those enzymes present in different parts of the alimentary canal they act on the food, and finally the process of digestion is accomplished. How that process of digestion takes place, okay, that we discuss from this part 10. Okay, physiology of digestion. Okay, what is meant by digestion? Okay, digestion is the process of conversion of complex non-diffusible food into simple diffusible forms. Okay, digestion is the process of conversion of complex non-diffusible food. That means which cannot enter into the cell. The food molecules that we eat, the food that we eat consists of larger molecules. They cannot diffuse directly into the cell. It has to be converted into simple diffusible forms. We learned this definition in the beginning in the first part also. Food, one of the basic requirement, food consists of different types of nutrients like carbohydrates, proteins, fats, minerals, vitamin. Okay, and water and minerals, vitamins are no need of digestion. They need not to be digested because they are already in simple form. They can directly diffuse into the cells. But carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, as they are larger molecule, they have to be converted into simple diffusible forms. Okay, digestion is the process of conversion of complex non-diffusible food into simple diffusible form. The process of digestion is accomplished by two process. The process of digestion involves two process. One is mechanical process, another one is chemical process. What are they? Mechanical process, MP, and CP, chemical process. Mechanical process means cutting and chewing of food by our teeth and churning of food by peristalsis. Churning of food by peristalsis and cutting and chewing of food by our teeth. Okay, it comes under mechanical process. Chemical process, enzymatic reactions by hydrolyzing enzyme. Okay, the enzymes, digesting enzyme, these are called hydrolysis. Okay, these enzymes, okay, by the action of those enzymes, chemical process of digestion is completed. Okay, this is the brief overlook of different types of juices. As I told you, saliva, salivary juice. Okay, next one, what is the name of the juice here? Saliva, gastric juice, bile juice, pancreatic juice, and these are the another one, intestinal juice. Okay, next one, pH value. The pH value of saliva is 6.8, gastric juice 0.9 to 1.8, bile juice pH value more than 7, and pancreatic juice 8.4. And next one, intestinal juice. The pH value of intestinal juice is that is 7.5 to 8. Next, optimal pH value of salivary amylase 6.8, and optimal pH value for these enzymes is 1.8, and optimal pH value for the pancreatic enzymes and intestinal enzymes is 7.8. What are present in saliva? Okay, saliva consists of some amylase like salivary amylase and otherwise called tyline or alpha amylase, and protease and lipase are absent. As per some book, lingual lipase is also present in saliva. It is not given in a textbook. And other components present in saliva are lysozyme is present, NaCl, Na plus, okay, cation, Cl minus anion, K plus cation, and HCO3 minus anion, and mucus. These are the other substances present in our saliva. Next one, gastric juice. Okay, it consists of pepsinogen, prorenin, gastric lipase, gastric lipase, and HCl, mucus, bicarbonates are present in gastric juice. Bile juice has no enzyme. Its pH value is more than 7, and it consists of bile pigment, bilirubin, biliverdin, and cholesterol. Cholesterol are present. Bile salts are present, taurocolate and glycocolate of sodium and potassium. phospholipid, cholesterol and phospholipid. These two are given in NCERT textbook. Cholesterol and phospholipids are also present in bile juice. Pancreatic juice pH value is highest among these, but digestion is 8.4, 7.8 optimal pH value for the action of the pancreatic enzyme. Okay, it consists of amylase like pancreatic amylase, and it consists of protease like procarboxypeptidase and trypsinogen, chymotrypsinogen. Okay, these all are present here. Okay, next one, nucleic acid digesting enzymes like DNAs, RNAs are present in pancreatic juice, and it also consists of pancreatic juice also consists of pancreatic lipase, DNAs, RNAs, procarboxypeptidase, trypsinogen, chymotrypsinogen, and sodium bicarbonate are present in pancreatic juice. And another one, intestinal juice. Okay, I told you earlier that one. Okay, let us now start digestion in buccal cavity. Buccal cavity performs two major functions. Okay, in a buccal cavity or oral cavity, mainly two things happen. One is mastication of food, another one is the facilitation of swallowing. Okay, what are the two things that happen in the buccal cavity? Mastication of food and facilitation of swallowing. Okay, teeth and tongue with the help of saliva masticate food. Okay, teeth which are present in the sockets, tongue which is present in the floor of the buccal cavity, and with the help of saliva, they masticate food and mix up the food thoroughly. And I told you in the saliva there is also mucus produced by mucus cells. Okay, mucus in saliva helps in lubricating and adhering the masticated food particles into bolus. Okay, when we chew the food, okay, food is broken down into the small particles. Those particles are attached together. Okay, with the help of mucus. Mucus also helps in easy passage of food in our buccal cavity while we are chewing the food. It also helps in adhesion of those particles of the food to form the bolus. Okay, observe here, buccal cavity mainly it performs two functions: mastication of food and facilitation of the swallowing. Okay, mastication, teeth and tongue with the help of saliva. This mastication occurs. Next one is okay, you can observe once we swallow the food, that food passes through the esophagus and finally it enters into the bolus enters into the stomach. The bolus is then conveyed into pharynx. From the buccal cavity, the bolus is transported into the pharynx, then into the esophagus, food pipe, by swallowing, otherwise called as deglutition. The bolus which is formed in the buccal cavity is then transported into the pharynx, then into the another part called as esophagus, which is commonly called food pipe, by swallowing or deglutition. The bolus further passes down through the esophagus. Observe here. Okay, the bolus, once we swallow, it passes down the esophagus. Okay, down the esophagus by successive muscular contraction. What do we call that successive muscular contractions? Peristalsis. What is that? Peristalsis. Okay, peristalsis is the successive waves of muscular contractions, especially two types of muscles: smooth muscles which are arranged in longitudinally and circularly. Okay, outer longitudinal, inner circular muscles. Okay, they cause peristalsis. Okay, finally the food enters into the stomach. Here there is one sphincter, I told you, cardiac sphincter, otherwise called gastroesophageal sphincter, which controls the passage of food into stomach. Okay, here that sphincter opens here. The cardiac sphincter, ring-like valve, relaxes to allow the food into stomach. Here there is another sphincter called esophageal sphincter. Okay, that is voluntary sphincter. Here one involuntary sphincter. Okay, this is the esophagus connecting two parts, upper pharynx, and here below the stomach, between the stomach and pharynx, we have esophagus, through which food passes by process called peristalsis. Okay, when food is passing through the peristalsis, digestion of the action of salivary amylase still carries on it. The saliva secreted into oral cavity. Our salivary glands are present outside the buccal cavity. They are not in the buccal cavity. They are outside the buccal cavity. One is here, one is below the tongue, one is at the angles of the lower jaw. They are present outside the buccal cavity, and they release saliva into the buccal cavity or oral cavity. Saliva secreted into oral cavity or buccal cavity that contains electrolytes. What are the various electrolytes? There are positive, that means cations, and anions are present, K plus, Na plus, and Cl minus, HCO3 minus. These all are electrolytes present in our saliva. And also enzymes are present. Salivary amylase and lysozyme enzymes are present in our saliva. Another important point, the chemical process of digestion. I told you digestion involves mechanical process and a chemical process. Mechanical process is initiated in the buccal cavity, and chemical process is also initiated, starts in the oral cavity. Very important point. Chemical process of digestion is initiated in which part of the alimentary canal? The answer is buccal cavity or oral cavity. Who is starting this process of chemical process of digestion? That is carbohydrate splitting enzyme. What is that carbohydrate splitting enzyme? That is salivary amylase or alpha amylase or ptyalin. What is the carbohydrate splitting enzyme? Salivary amylase or alpha amylase or ptyalin. How much starch is digested, hydrolyzed in our mouth? About 30% of the starch is hydrolyzed here in the buccal cavity by this enzyme. Which enzyme? Salivary amylase, at the optimum pH value 6.8. Okay, into now that starch is converted to a disaccharide called maltose. I will show you that one here. Okay, this is a starch which is a polysaccharide. By the action of salivary amylase at pH value 6.8, it is converted to a disaccharide called maltose. Okay, next, lysozyme. What is the function of lysozyme present in the in our saliva? I told you there are some antibodies are also present in our saliva, like IgG antibodies, and they are part of immune system. This lysozyme also part of immune system. Okay, lysozyme present in saliva acts as an antibacterial agent that prevents infections. Okay, that's about digestion in buccal cavity. Okay, that's the end of part 10. Okay, next I will come with part 11 with digestion in stomach.